Hello and welcome. My name is Josh and this is Josh C Boxing. Hope you guys are all doing well, and as always, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. So I titled this video "What Next for Fabio Wardley?" and there's a couple of reasons why I titled it that. Firstly, he's ranked number 1 with the WBA, so we naturally just have to have that conversation, right? Who's he going to face next? And secondly, he had a really interesting interview with Umar a couple of days ago where he shared some names, and I'm going to touch on those names a bit later. So if you don't know who Fabio Wardley is a heavyweight, UK heavyweight. As I said before, he's ranked number 1 with the WBA. He had a really interesting 2024 where he faced Frazer Clarke twice. One was at the O2 Arena. If you haven't seen that fight, I recommend you to watch that fight. 12 rounds, end-to-end action, absolutely brilliant. And it was a split decision draw. The fight was so good, they had to do it twice. And they done it in Riyadh last year as well. Now, that fight was different because it was the first round destructive KO, and I mean destructive KO, by Fabio Wardley on Frazer Clarke. It was one of those kind of fights where you think to yourself, okay, I've seen a knockout, but that's scary because Frazer Clarke looks like he was having a stroke at one stage, and it was really, really scary. But it's good to see, and good to see that he's back in full health now and all is well. So, as I said before, Fabio Wardley had an interview with Umar on Box Nation, and he mentioned 4 names. And the 4 names he mentioned was Pulev, he mentioned Ortiz, he mentioned Miller, and he also mentioned Hunter as possible next opponents. He did say that there's not been any negotiations or anything like that, but these are kind of names he was throwing out there. And he did say, though, one of his biggest aims and one of his main aims in 2025 was to win a world title. So that might give you a clue in terms of what direction he might be heading down in. But anyway, let's talk about it in a bit more detail, right? So, Kubrat Pulev, he is the WBA regular title holder. He faced Manuel Charr last year where he won the belt. To be honest with you, if you watch that fight, it's a bit of a snooze fest, if I'm honest with you. 2 slow guys facing each other. And I think that will be the easiest option for Wardley to get a belt. If his aim in 2025 is to win a world title, go down that path. Pulev has had and has seen better days. Again, he even in the Joshua fight, he looked a lot better. Chisora fight, he looks better. The Fury fight, and again, if you go back in his career, he was a lot better. But in his defense, he's 43, right? So he's a lot older than he was then. So I would definitely say Wardley would win that fight. Too big, too strong, too young, too hungry in that sense. And I think that would be the easiest option for him if he wants to win a world title as soon as possible. The second option was Jarrell Miller. And I thought this would be interesting because Jarrell Miller would be the perfect dance partner. He's a trash talker, he's a brash talker. And also, he's a big boy. He's 330 something pounds in his last 2 fights, right? So he would definitely ask some questions of Fabio Wardley. And again, he would bring the entertainment and the spice to the table because he's a guy, when he speaks, people are entertained. Like, what's he going to say next? What's he going to do next? And if Fabio Wardley wants to kind of build up his brand, maybe someone like Jarrell Miller is a perfect opponent to do so. And also, he would be able to test himself because he is a live one. Let's put it like that. He is a live one. He throws punches. He could take a punch. So it'll be interesting to see how Fabio Wardley deals with that. So for me personally, I could end the video and say, right, okay, cool, Pulev and Miller. But however, I gotta continue because he did mention 2 other names. He mentioned Luis Ortiz. For me, that's a no-no. That's a no-go. I'm not interested in seeing that fight. I could end it and say it like that. Ortiz is 45 and he's just been inactive, totally inactive. After the Wilder fight in 2019, that's about 5 years ago. Wow, 5 years ago. He fought the following year against Alexander Flores. He beat him in a round. Then he took 2 years off. Then he fought Charles Martin and Andy Ruiz in 2022. Then he took 2 years off. Then he faced Francisco Cordero. To be honest with you, he is not active enough. He's not active enough. And I don't think that he would pose much of a problem for Fabio Wardley. I think Fabio Wardley at this stage anyway would beat him like convincingly in that sense. I remember the Ortiz of old, right? The Ortiz, the guy who faced Brian Jennings, Tony Thompson, Malik Scott. He faced Deontay Wilder. Like, he actually put up a good fight, especially the first fight was good. The second fight, he was winning all those rounds up until the 7th round when Deontay Wilder caught him and knocked him out. So technically speaking, I mean, that Ortiz would have posed a completely different threat in that sense. But at this stage, not interested. I think he should retire, call it a day, sail off into the sunset. Good night, Vienna, in that sense. Lastly, Michael Hunter. And every time I think about Michael Hunter, it's a sad story. It's a really sad story. This is a guy who was a heavyweight contender, and at one stage, I thought he was going to be a real problem in the heavyweight division. I really did. Do you remember that fight against Povetkin? That was that was an extremely good fight. And after that fight, he was in negotiations with Hrgović for the IBF Eliminator, and he pulled out and he signed with Triller. And ever since then, his career's just literally nosedive to the point now I saw online that he's now doing tag team boxing or something along those lines. And he's fighting in Mexico. So it's just sad to see, to be honest with you. I just don't think he brings anything to the table. He doesn't bring anything for Wardley to the table for me to find intrigue. And I don't think boxing fans would find a lot of intrigue, if I'm honest with you, in Fabio Wardley facing someone like Michael Hunter. So it's a no for me at the moment. I think he needs to take other fights and build his resume and then come back to the table. I kind of feel to some degree he must be thinking to himself, I kind of regret not going down that Hrgović route, because he could have been at the table at Riyadh season. Who knows? He could have still been in conversation in that sense. But yeah, if it was me, I would say Pulev number 1. He brings something to the table, even though he's 42. I would say Miller number 2 if it's not Pulev, and the other two I would say not really interested in watching if I'm honest with you. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Wardley should face Pulev next, or do you think he should face someone else? Should he face Miller, or are you interested in the Ortiz fight? Are you interested in the Hunter fight? In that sense, please let me know. Write your comments down below, and as always, please like, share and subscribe to the page. I must say, guys, I really appreciate you guys liking and subscribing to the channel as well. Keep on doing it. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and until next time, peace.